And then the hat on the
I tried my best.
You should have brought like a chew.
yesterday. Yesterday? That's a weird night. What'd you have?
I was at the Chinese buffet for like 6 of the football team in Primary Spring. I was like,
It's okay, because I was
some burgers one day that you had stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Why not?
I was like, okay.
I mean, you get the option to. Why not?
Also, I was in like third person for like
You
third of my last night. I was in
First few times where it's third person only.
so I was sitting at the buffet table and I get up to go get my order and I thought I was gone for like 45 minutes. I was gone for about 5.
Yeah.
I was in like,
What do you eye drops?
no, I didn't have any.
I said you needed some.
I did. I played I did play FNAF before I got home, dude.
That's so
It's
dumb.
fun. It's fun.
Dude,
There's no way it's fun.
Dude, it's so fun.
I was saying like, they're so scary, they're gonna get me.
It's probably the best sleep I've had in a while, too.
I feel like shit now, though.
Oh, that's why you feel like shit.
Nah, it's not a good day either.
One.
You're the third
Personal
person to
issues.
ask me that, yes.
With who?
Myself. There's also girl issues.
No, I never heard that.
Yeah.
That doesn't argue.
He's in
Third out of 60?
I'll make sure.
What's his with me?
He's ready.
He's like gripping his face. He's like,
We dated in middle school.
I wish I had this inside joke. What happened?
I just know.
I'm trying to recognize recognize
C Money, Clyde, Connor, Joey, Caleb, Jack, Chase, Joey.
the order for what? For what?
No, it goes in a line.
It's like
And then we sneak it.
alphabetical.
There's somebody in between you two? Who's missing? Who's missing in between you two?
Freestyle.
Who?
No,
Your mom.
that's 3, which is fake.
I did see it. Is it Danny?
He might not have got his glasses.
He would have got his last. He started last. Like,
No, we didn't.
oh yeah, he did. Yes, he did not.
Wait, so how is this working? How stand up in the front, shake
June,
your hand,
June does not explain it.
walk behind the row to the back door?
Apparently, I think we just stand up.
I think she means like get up from her seat, shake hands, walk around this row. Are we putting it on there? Yeah, I gotta stand up. Screw that. I was gonna try.
What size did I get?
Do the text.
Pretty big.
It'll do.
we're going to go ahead and get started. There may be a few more people that come in, and that's fine. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 2023 Fall Letter Jacket Award Program. My name's Stacy Meyer. I'm the athletic director here at the high school. To start with, I would like to congratulate all 64 of our award winners for their dedication and commitment to their activity. The ones sitting behind me are why we're here today. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. I would like to take a moment just to thank all of our coaches, teachers, staff, and administrators for their support of all of our extracurricular activities. I would also like to personally thank June Rigney for all of her hard work. She brings all the kids down to get sized, gets all the information out for the letter jackets, and puts a lot of hard work. So thank you to June. I also want to take a moment to explain how letter jacket is earned and how we get them. First, you must earn a varsity letter in your sport or extracurricular activity on or after your sophomore year. Every coach, every extracurricular sponsor has a different way of how a varsity letter is earned. For instance, basketball, it may be you have to play so many quarters. Football, it may just be if you're on a varsity roster. So different ways that they can earn a varsity letter. After earning your varsity letter, you get sized for a jacket at no cost to the student. And then the fall of your junior or senior year, you receive your jacket in a ceremony like today. We've been very fortunate to have First Federal Bank sponsor our letter jackets and pay for them. Through their generosity, our students have the opportunity to proudly wear their jackets with no cost to them or their family. Please give a round of applause to First Federal Bank. I would like to now turn our program over to our sponsor, Jim Saylor, President of First Federal Savings and Loan.
Thank you and good morning. Like Stacy said, I'm Jim Saylor from the class of 1976. I am the president of First Federal Savings and Loan of Greensburg. I'm here to present this morning along with one of our loan officers, Jen Nugent, is here with me. And we want to thank, on behalf of First Federal, we want to thank Superintendent Tom Hunter, Principal Mr. Mike Myers, and Athletic Director Stacy Meyer and June Rigney for allowing First Federal to sponsor the Letter Jacket program, which we have been able to do since 2006. First Federal is celebrating its 140th year of being in business since 1883. We're the last of the almost 100% locally owned financial institutions in Greensburg. We are governed by a 5-member board of directors. 4 of us are Greensburg graduates. Director Ross Davis, Superintendent Tom Hunter, and myself are classmates from 1976. On behalf of First Federal, we all feel as though we owe a lot of thanks to our coaches, teachers, family, and friends for encouraging us while we came through school. We are all big believers in the power of an encouraging word. I grew up with 7 sisters, 1 brother, 1 bathroom, and no air conditioning when I was a kid, back in the 70s. When I was in junior high, I participated in football, basketball, baseball, and ran track. I was one of the lucky ones that got to play most of the games. Thinking back over the years, I conclude that I had average size and capabilities, but due to the household that I grew up in, I had what I would interpret as above average discipline and work ethic. My dad was boss of our household. When we were told to do something, it was not a suggestion. You just did it. Most coaches seem to like that characteristic when we started playing sports. By the time I was out of high school, I had dropped sports participation except for tennis and CYO basketball. Ever since I was old enough to mow grass, shovel snow, bale hay, I've been working a long list of part-time jobs. I was on tennis scholarship in college, taught tennis lessons, drove a wheelchair taxi, delivered furniture, and other various part-time jobs in school. During the summers, I worked full-time, including some overtime, in a local factory and taught tennis lessons in my spare time I didn't recognize it at the time, but a lot of the people I was giving tennis lessons to were either wives or children of the lawyers, CPAs, and school teachers and successful businessmen and farmers in town. That experience, somewhat as a side effect, helped encourage me to get my college education and to start a satisfying career of income tax preparation. Ultimately, I feel like the sports participation provided the opportunity to have candid visits with classmates, friends, competitors, and former teachers. One story I wanted to share here this morning with the students dates all the way back to 1972. So on my own, in my own defense just a little bit, I want to highlight there really was no cell phones and no Google back in that time. And as an adult, I ended up being able to cut firewood with my former junior high principal, a fellow named Dick Reveley. First time I ever met Dick Reveley, I was in the 8th grade, and it was the day after a basketball game in a crowded school hallway. And the first thing he said to me was, "Sailor, how many bunnies did you blow last night?" I was puzzled by the question. I'd never heard that term before. You'll have to Google what a basketball bunny is. It's basically an uncontested layup. But anyway, even though I didn't understand the term of what he had asked me, I kind of faked it in the conversation, trying not to look out of touch. And after many years had gone by and he and I were out cutting firewood together, he and I had a good laugh about my unfamiliarity with the term. I would never have imagined that I would end up doing tax return work for former teachers and coaches. I would never have imagined that I would go to Reds games or Pacer games with former teachers or parents of my friends. I'm very thankful for several life lessons learned from sports. One last little story. The first day on the job at First Federal, I was spending some time with my predecessor, and early on he challenged me to see if I could sign my 3 capital letter initials in cursive without lifting the pen off the page. I took his challenge and was surprised that I could do that. Now, many years later, several times a day when I have to initial something, I initial it that same way, and I think of Bob each time I do that. My cursive initials pretty much look the same every time I initial something. Another one of the teachers that I gave tennis lessons to was the daughter of another one of my predecessors at First Federal. In fact, Eddie had worked at First Federal for 50 years. He was working at First Federal the year I was born. And I got to spend a good bit of time with Eddie after having given his school teacher daughter tennis lessons as a college student. And Eddie's last day on the job and the last piece of advice that Eddie gave to me from one generation to the other, Eddie said, "Jim, my advice is enjoy the good times." Final concluding thought from a graduate of the year of 1976. This day and age, there's a Cheers song lyric from 1982, 40 years ago. It's actually their theme song, and you can Google this also. The song lyric that resonates in my mind, and I listen to it somewhat frequently: making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. My personal opinion, from one generation to the other, there's never been a more true statement given. Making your way in the world today definitely takes everything you've got. On behalf of First Federal, I wish that each of the recipients of the jackets here today continue to have good times, make lifelong friends from their sports participation. And without further delay, I want to turn the program back over to Mr. Mike Myers. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Mr. Saylor, and for First Federal Savings and Loan for your continued support and generosity. Again, these letter jackets are provided due to their generous donation. They have covered all costs to get these letter jackets for our recipients this year, and as Mr. Saylor stated, all the way back in 2006 with that class of eventually 2007 being the first class to receive the jackets courtesy of First Federal Savings and Loans. And again, we are very appreciative. Thank you again. So at this time, let's get to the real reason of why we're here and acknowledging all of our students and our letter jacket winners for this year. They are Caden Acton, Ava Austin, Alexis Baluyat, Connor Beagle, Reese Beaver, Connor Campbell, Brooklyn Clark, Evie Clevenger, Austin Cole, Sierra Coughlin, Lance Coy, William Cunningham, Camille Deaton, Reese Dyer, Joey Everode, Dan Fissy, Taven Fixmer, Zion Ford, J.R. Frensmeyer, Tori Gauk, Tiffany Gramman, Caleb Grivey, Olivia Grimes, Ariana Hamilton, Dylan Hempstead, Tristan Hostetler, Reed Hungerford, Brooklyn Jones, Lily Jones, Ella Kors, excuse me, Daniel Kolpinski, Allison Kunze, Johnny Linville, Christopher Maines. Jack McKenzie. Emma McQueen. Carson Miller. Cy Miller. Madison Moreland. Tam No. Zachary Neese. Evelyn Pelzer. Taylor Perez. Amelie Phillips. Marissa Powers. Braden Rankin. John Robbins. Robert Rodriguez. Colton Schroeder. Sailor Scripture. Zoe Seal. Landon Shepard. Genevieve Smith. Charlie Stoffaker. Chase Tekulve. Anara Terrell. Sam Tuckman. Francesca Verzo. Elena Weber. Brooke Welsh. Leah West. Owen Wheatley. Miley Wilkeson. And Joey Yake. Congratulations to all of our letter jacket winners. These students continue the long tradition of success, determination, character, and grit at Greensburg Community High School. This type of event and acknowledgement is a shining example of the great effort and potential of our students. Great job to all 64 recipients. Let's go ahead and give them one last round of applause. Also, please join me in one last round of applause of appreciation for First Federal Savings and Loan. As principal, I want to thank our staff, our coaches, our sponsors, our parents, and all other stakeholders for your dedication to GCHS. At this time, this concludes our ceremony. Our letter jacket recipients will head to the gymnasium for a group picture, and you're allowed to go down there and take group pictures as well. Thank you for coming today.